The FIA Formula 2 Championship celebrates its 10th season in 2026. And what a way to celebrate. New track on the calendar, lots of new drivers coming in to the grid as well. And we've got a combination of drivers from the likes of IndyCar, the World Endurance Championship, Super Formula, with our F3 graduates as well. Here's what we're going to be taking on first then, the Albert Park circuit. 23 laps of sprint tomorrow before 33 laps of feature on Grand Prix Sunday. 4 DRS zones around the circuit, 2 detection points. It was Gabriele Mini who went fastest in qualifying last year. Joshua Dirksen went back-to-back across 2 seasons. Can he do the same again in 2026? We're all set up nicely for this season. My name's Chris McCarthy. Great to have you back. And alongside me, as ever, it's Alex Brundle.
And it's great to be back. This 10th season of this era of FIA Formula 2. And I don't think, Chris, we've ever seen quite such an eclectic mix of racing drivers gathered around the door to Formula 1, pushing and shoving to try to make their way through. As you correctly say, right at the top, World Endurance Championship, IndyCar, Super Formula, absolutely everywhere in motorsport has provided drivers as well as a generous group who've moved up from Formula 3, of which this man was champion last year, to try to take their shot, to take their swing this year at becoming Formula 1 drivers. And this, their first hurdle. Melbourne, 2 races here, the first of 14 rounds of this year's Formula 2 Championship.
It's one of those grids which you debate about who would come out on top if all of those grids came together. Now we finally get to find out. 12 of the current F1 drivers are graduates from this championship, and that is why they are all flocking to race in Formula 2. One driver who will be coming in looking to do the double, just like we saw Leo Fornaroli do, is going to be this man, Rafa Kamara. But he has another thing he can do. He can do something only Oscar Piastri has done and go back-to-back, winning a Formula Regional, Formula 3 and Formula 2 title. Rafa Kamara steps up with Invicta Racing.
Yeah, and sitting inside an Invicta is often a good way to start looking at doing that. The team who've become the team champions in 2024 and 2025 return for this season. All to play for Kamara. Splendid year in Formula 3 last year. Got a lot more power underneath the right foot. Turbocharged engine block as well to deal with, and a lot more downforce to play with as well. Several returning drivers too. We're exactly half-half, Chris, across the field. 11 returning drivers, 11 rookies are joining us for this year's Formula 2 Championship. The highest placed returning driver, Alex Dunn.
Indeed, the Irishman is back, and Ireland, one of 19 nationalities represented on the grid this year. And as you can see, Alex Dunn in slightly different colours this year. Let's start by hearing from the Irishman, the highest returning seed is Alex Dunn.
It of course means a lot, I think, to have a second opportunity with an F1 junior team to show what I'm capable of, and hopefully then fulfill my dream one day of being a Formula 1 driver. I think it of course is very, very nice and gives me confidence going into this year. I think to have signed and have it all done before round 1 and now just get into the year and focus on the job ahead, I think is nice. And then to work with Alpine through the year to try and learn what I can from the team. You know, if I get the opportunity to learn from Pierre and Franco as well, then I'll make the most of it. But yeah, I think the goal is to focus on this year, have a strong year, and then hopefully end up with them in F1.
Alex Dunn, now an Alpine junior, one of 3 on the grid this year, along with Kushmini and Gabriele Mini. What an opportunity he has ahead this year, Alex. He knows that if he can go and impress that Alpine team, there is a possibility he can find himself linked to that F1 team in a further way.
He's in good company, isn't he? We saw it in the shot there. I tell you, Chris, the bane of a Formula 2 commentator's life are normally the number of Red Bull liveried cars
Only one this year.
On the grid. Only one this year. We've got 3 pink Alpine liveried machines though, so that mantle has been taken by the Alpine junior squad. Alex Dunn comes in very well seated with some fantastic performances through last year. We'll be looking for a neat and tidy season, and all of these drivers know the mantra that is always explained to them in no uncertain terms at this phase of the year, which is you don't have to win every race to become the Formula 2 champion. Just got to consistently score. And I really think with what he showed last year, the turn of pace that he showed, but also some of the messier moments for Alex Dunn, he is looking for that kind of year. Has a driver ever come into Formula 2 with this much fanfare? Take it away, Chris.
I don't think so. Colton Herta, the highly anticipated entry, the IndyCar driver making the step to Formula 2 with simply one objective in mind, to get a full-time seat in the Cadillac racing team. He is with them in a testing development role this year and has the chance to learn plenty, and they have put him in this Formula 2 championship, Alex, to learn from the rest of the field, to get to speed with these cars, these tyres, and his objective at the end will be to join the Cadillac Formula 1 team who stepped into the grid this year. What a season he has ahead. Tell us a little bit about the task he has ahead in jumping over from IndyCar and Formula 2, because it's something we have not seen done before.
It's a tougher task than it looks from the outside. Cars look so similar, don't they, when you jump between two relatively high-powered single-seaters, but the style of racing, specifically the tyre manufacturer and the way they behave, are massively different between the two series. So that's what he's got to get his head around. I think he's performed well throughout testing. They've, of course, had a couple of test sessions to play with through the early phase of this year, but racing is another thing. He's also got a lot of racetracks to learn, actually, Colton Herta. Coming into this season, he'll of course understand extremely well, probably better than anybody else in the field, the nature of a street circuit. Does so much of that kind of racing in the United States, but a lot of these racetracks will be those that he's not been out on before. Comes in with massive pedigree, though. You know, you're looking at a driver who was third in the IndyCar Series in 2020, second in the IndyCar Series in 2024, sixth last year, and brings with him that wealth of experience. Why have Cadillac put him in Formula 2? To get him prepared for this kind of racing, to see if he can cut it in this world, and also to demonstrate respect, I think. Well, I know, because I've been told, for the way that we go racing here in the world of F1, but they back him big time to perform, and they have his full support. He has, I should say, their full support.
As you mentioned, one of the tasks for him is going to be getting to grips with the circuits. It's his first time racing out of America full-time since 2016, so he's going to have to change mindset completely in terms of that, and he's going to be visiting a lot of new circuits as well. But Colton Herta in good hands with the Hi-Tech team, and alongside him is a Super Formula champion in Ritomo Miata. So what a lineup Ollie Oakes has there at Hi-Tech this year, and Colton Herta will be looking to develop throughout the year. We'll see how he gets on this weekend, but this is a long-term project for him throughout the season, isn't it?
Yeah, and he can afford to progress throughout the year. Naturally, he's come in and got a notorious way, as well he might, with the accolades that he's gathered in the past, and so people will naturally immediately judge performance. That's just the nature of the world of motorsport. But I think he'll be, someone of his experience, will be wiping his mind clear of that and just trying to build, understand these cars, understand this form of racing, and gathering results as the year continues. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how Colton Herta gets on. This looks like a relatively neat and tidy lap early in free practice. 35 minutes to go. We've got Montoya top of the pile at the moment.
Montoya is indeed leading us as Colton Herta comes across the line now, and third place he goes in the standings. Let's talk about the championship as a whole then. We've got the Madrid circuit joining us on the calendar this year. A slight adjustment to the rules and how the penalties are applied as well at the end of races. They now go to the next feature race, so drivers punished a little bit more there, but a new circuit, one new rule change as well. There's plenty of things to look forward to.
There are, yeah, but it's still that format that we know and love in Formula 2. One thing to point out, of course, is that the Formula 2 is sort of your reassuring buddy now. on the Grand Prix weekends, because F1 has changed so much. The regulations of Formula 2 have changed barely at all. So we still, for example, have DRS zones the drivers are going to be using throughout the weekend. Both Formula 2 and Formula 3 will carry DRS zones. Because the circuit furniture is so different now in Formula 1, drivers are going to be told about those DRS zones on the steering wheel rather than by signboard on the side of the racetrack, which of course now changes for the straight mode zones that F1 have. So it's a brave new world in 2026 in Formula 1, but Formula 2 is your faithful friend.
Yeah, if you have joined us for the first time, you've picked the perfect season to come and join us in Formula 2. This is one of the most highly anticipated seasons there has ever been. One of the highest returning seeds is this driver here. Dino Beganovic goes back to where he started. He made his debut with the Downs team a couple of seasons ago at Qatar, and a great debut it was. Did 2 rounds with them. Now he swaps over from Hitech into Downs Lucas Oil. Roman Belinsky joining him there. Ferrari back driver as well, not the only one on the grid this year. So he'll know that he has to go out there and impress Ferrari this season.
Yeah, tight through the mid-corner of turn 13 there for Beganovic. He was on a lovely lap, 2 purple sectors early on, and caught out by the traffic ahead. But he will come across the line 4 tenths up, could have been slightly more. A little bit of learning perhaps going on there. Fall for Emerson Fittipaldi, who joins us this year as well, and finds himself off the road down in turn 1.
Yeah, Emerson Fittipaldi, junior, jumping up from Euro Cup 3, making that leap straight up into Formula 2. So it's a big leap up for him. There'll be learning for him to do. Let's have a look back at this for Dino Beganovic.
His way into turn 9. The big challenge as the weight moves in turn 10, and that shimmy that often comes with it. This is the kind of moment down in the last couple of corners for Beganovic where the returning driver may well find the newbie after the session and go, yeah, when I'm just finishing a lap, just let me through if there's nothing behind me.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that often might occur after a session like that. Both off the road down at turn 1 though. Fittipaldi, whoa, sucked a little bit deep.
Mari Boyer, a big save for him. The Aston Martin back driver there having a big moment coming through 9 and 10, and immediately just putting over to back off and allow one of the Invicta cars to go through. Mari Boyer joining the Prema Racing team, had a brilliant season in F3 last year, finishing in the top 3 in the championship. Now we have Joshua Dirks on screen, a Mercedes junior now, as well as an Invicta driver. That was a very exciting appointment for both parties. They have seen how well Dirksen has been doing, and Dirksen now part of that outfit.
Performed brilliantly for AIX over a couple of years. And this will have been a seat that he will have had his eye on. He's seen how good that Invicta car has been over the last 2 seasons. And he will be excited to get his hands on that as we see that moment from Mari Boyer again. Realignment of the white line through the exit of turn 10, by the way, is one of a couple of track changes this year in Melbourne, which stays largely the same in terms of its layout as after the tweaks back in 2022.
Just seeing this again. Oh, Gabriele Mini losing a bit of front wing there, going up the inside of John Bennett.
Is that our first bodywork of the season? I think it is.
So, oh, yeah, there we go.
Christening the spares truck there. Gabriele Mini.
Oh, and Van Amersfoort running wide there. Rafael Villagomez just making his way off into the gravel and back on. Exciting changes at Van Amersfoort as well. Otmar Zafnauer has come in as the CEO, ex-F1 team principal, of course. Van Amersfoort Racing celebrated 50 years last year, so they have a team with a lot of history, Alex, but not that much history when it comes to racing at this level. They joined us in 2022, so Otmar Zafnauer looking, no doubt, to just help that team progress forward. They got the exciting new signing of Nico Verone as well. They've shown they're very competitive in Formula 2 and Formula 3 already. This can help them take that extra step forward.
Interesting driver pairing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got Rafael Villagomez returning for his 3rd season behind the wheel of a Formula 2 car, all with Van Amersfoort, so a lot of experience of the team, a lot of experience of the series. Nico Veroni, of course, coming from the direction of the World Endurance Championship in sports cars, has won Le Mans behind the wheel of LMGT Amcar back in 2023. Won the World Endurance Championship in the same class that year, so has done a lot of racing but in extremely different machinery, and moved up into the World Endurance Championship in the hypercar class. I think he drove for Proton in 2025. Now finds himself behind the wheel of a Formula 2 car and back in mainstream single-seater racing. Must come as a bit of a shock, mustn't it? When they wave the checkered flag at you and you say, "Hold on a minute, I'm just getting going."
Well, this is his first time doing a single-seater race since August 2020. That was at Donington Park in the BRDC F3 Championship. So completely different car, completely different circuit as well. How's this going to feel for him? As someone who's raced in both single-seater sports cars, how's he going to be going back the other way?
The length and aggression of the race, I mean, I joke, but the length and aggression of the races is something which is really different in single-seater racing in comparison to sports car racing. As Solov gets across the line,
Colton Herta is off at turn 10, and we're just seeing him stationary there on the exit of turn 10, and I think that tells us a bit of a picture as to what has happened off into the barriers, and that's going to bring out the red flag.
big moment then. Early, very, very early in his Formula 2 career for Colton Herta. And finds himself parked in the wall on the outside of 10. We'll wait and see what's befallen him. Red flag means the session stops. The clock will keep running in free practice. But unfortunately, that'll be a bit of track time lost that he really could have done without for Colton Herta.
Yeah, he was coming out fine. You can see the skid marks across the road there as to where he's gone, the direction he's gone into the barriers. There was a board there, but that's now gone. So I think that tells us exactly what's happened. We did see a lot of drivers getting caught out by this section of the circuit, some running wide, others getting a loose moment.
I mean, it's a tricky outside curve, lifts the rear tyres off the floor and so often spins the car inwards off the end of it. We've seen plenty of drivers have incident there. So I would hold a guess that's what's happened to Colton Herta, but we'll wait until we get a replay. First bodywork, first signboard.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
34 minutes in.
Yeah. Red flag is out. Let's have a look back at it, Alex.
Oh. And looks like he's just
Yeah.
lost it actually quite early in the corner in comparison to some there. So it looks like he might have lost it on the direction change. Herta, rear into the tyre wall. Doesn't look to be too much damage to the rest of the car. It's more the track time at this stage that he could have really used. The incident involving Fittipaldi and Bogdanovic will be investigated after the session, and that's impeding as Colton Herta walks away.
Yeah, disappointing start to the weekend for Colton Herta. Off at turn 10, car in the barriers, red flag is out, and he will lose, as you said, Alex, some very valuable track time, because after this, it is straight into qualifying. 45 minutes to learn the circuit, and then you're straight in, and that's going to be another thing for Colton Herta to get used to. There is not a lot of practice in Formula 2 before you're into qualifying.
And what did we say? The process of racing these cars is what there is to be learned. The reality that it's 45 minutes of free practice, and then you're straight into qualifying. Let's see what's going on with Alex Dunn now of the Alpine Academy. He's going to head straight over the bumpy grass on the inside of turn 1. Oh, Houdini. Nice one, Alex Dunn.
Yeah.
Manages to get away with that one, despite just losing the rear across the grass there.
That was a nice save. We saw plenty of drivers going off there in Formula 3. Alex Dunn off now, and a big save from the Alpine Junior, remaining with the Rodin team for this year. Soft tyres on the car. Alex, we've got a new combination this year that we haven't had before at this circuit, soft and super soft. That's going to be quite an interesting one to watch, because We've seen the super soft and the medium. We've seen the soft and the medium, but we've never seen the soft and the super soft.
In previous years, we've had a gap between the tyre compounds here, and that would generally give you the strategy in the feature race, I should say. No tyre changes, of course, in the sprint race on Saturday, but in Sunday's feature race, it would normally give you the strategy of running the softer compound first. It gets you off the line, helps you when you're battling over positions early on, and then you change onto the harder compound. That's what we would call the traditional, the primary strategy in a Formula 2 race. Interestingly though, with these two softest compounds stacked up here in Melbourne, Pirelli suggests the opposite, which is to run the harder of the two, the soft, confusingly, first, and then jump onto the super soft, which has the purple sidewall for the end. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they decide to take. Kind of cruel in a way, in the way that Formula 2 so often is, that we put them straight on the track and give them a curveball strategy in weekend one.
It really is. So we'll see how that one plays up. That's going to be the feature race where we see both tyres being used as there is a mandatory pit stop and 2 compound run in Formula 2. In Victor Racing, we can see Rafa Kamara there, reigning F3 champion, and Joshua Dirksen, the Mercedes junior. What a lineup that is. Let's hear what their team principal, James Robertson, had to say coming into the season.
I think this year represents a real step change for us as a team. I think even though we won the last 2 championships in F2, I wouldn't say we actually started either of those seasons as necessarily the favourites. But that's probably not the case this year. I think from what I see, most people consider us as, if not the team to beat, then one of the teams to beat. And I think that's a great reflection on what the team has achieved these last 2 years, but also a compliment to the quality of the driver lineup we've got this year. And with Rafa, the way he won F3 last season, he goes into this year with a great amount of expectation. And Joshua obviously comes with a huge amount of experience. He's a multiple race winner in this category, and so we expect great things from him as well. So, yeah, only one can win the championship, but we just hope it's a guy in yellow.
Good to hear from James Robinson there. Victor looking to take a 3rd consecutive title, which has never been done before in Formula 2. Can they do that? They mentioned they have a very strong lineup there with Rafa Kamara and how he won F3, Joshua Dirksen, multi-winner. Gabriele Mini has swapped to the MP Motorsport team, one of the Alpine juniors as well. But there's more pink cars on the grid this year. Will that be something that plays on his mind?
Definitely, you're always looking to try and beat everybody else that's in your academy group. But the reality all of these drivers know is that even if you win this championship, you still could find your seat in Formula 1. So there's only one spot that really matters at the end of a Formula 2 season. Gabriele Mini, returning driver, sits 2nd at the moment behind the Red Bull junior Nicolas Solov. This is the stoppage, which is Colton Herta heading into the inside barrier on the exit of turn 10. We only see the car flash through shot relatively early in the incident, but it doesn't actually look like he's lost it on the outside curve there to me. I think he might have lost it on the direction change in the mid-corner, although without the full footage. It's tricky to see. In any case, the delay to the session while they clear up that incident.
Yeah, it means the clock still runs, as you can see, but 30 seconds time, we will have green light at the end of the pit lane. Well, Leon jumps up to Formula 2 this season from F3. A bit of a season to forget for him last year, really, but ended with a podium. Campos Racing he's with, and Nicolas Solov alongside him, a very strong lineup there. And then over at Hi-Tech, Ritomo Miata, Super Formula champion, now going into his 3rd season. We'll see how he can get on this year. Green again, 20 minutes left in practice, and the only practice session we have, as it is every weekend in Formula 2.
Relatively cool out there. Track temperature 25 degrees, air temperature 19. Track relatively swift, I would say, for this stage in the weekend. 2025 pole position was a 29.4, so we're sitting in the the early 130s at the moment. Lap record here, Dennis Hauger in 2024 with a 28.6. So getting on with it at this stage in free practice.
As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Formula 2 celebrates 10 seasons this year, and what 10 seasons it has been. 12 current drivers racing in F1. Let's hear from the man at the top, Bruno Michel, what he had to say about those 10 seasons.
Well, when we look at what F2's been achieving over the last 10 years, it's quite impressive. And I would say that at the end of the day, F2, the main mission of F2 has been to prepare drivers for Formula One, and to do everything to achieve this goal. And if we look at the number of drivers that F2 has produced and has been to Formula One, either as race drivers or reserve drivers or test drivers, it's very impressive. We last year had the first F2 driver as a F1 world champion, which is also something that we're very, very happy about. And we're waiting for more F2 drivers to come and more rookies to come.
F2 and F3 CEO there, Bruno Michel. As you mentioned, F2 has achieved so much. When you look back through the list of champions alone, Charles Leclerc winning in 2017, George Russell in 2018, Nick de Vries, Mick Schumacher, Oscar Piastri, Felipe Drugovich, Teo Pourchaire, Gabriel Bortoleto and Leo Fornaroli. That's only the champions. There are 17 drivers in test development roles within F1 teams that have come through this championship. It really has done a huge amount in a short space of time.
It's the place to be if you want to find yourself behind the wheel of a Formula One car, and if you take home the big trophy at the end of a Formula 2 season. You've beaten some incredible talent every season. Let's be honest about it. We talk about the merits of the various years of this series, but these are 22 of the finest young motorsport athletes in the world each and every year. Alex Dunn was the best of them last year, who returned to have another go, this time in the pink Alpine colours. Opens up the mid-corner of turn 9, stays away from that outside curve. This then the big braking zone down towards turn 11, passing the incident point for Colton Herta on the right-hand side, staying away from that outside curve again. Almost there now, through the mid-corner of turn 12, where these Formula 2 cars can be so difficult to manage. And then patience, the name of the game, through these final 2 apexes. 2 green sectors, if you're new to your motorsport, mean they are 2 of Alex Dunn's best throughout this session so far. All 3 green sectors means he's improved in each and every one of the 3 areas of the lap that we divided into, and that's why he's achieved a better lap time.
Gabriele Mini currently second, gap 3.5 tenths to Nicola Solo for Campos, who currently leads. Here comes the Italian driver up to the line now, and he goes fastest overall. Gabriele Mini, who went quickest in this qualifying session here last year, was given a penalty. Of course, the feature race didn't go ahead here last year due to adverse weather conditions. Just watching back, Alex Dunn, bit of a lock up there, coming down to turn 3.
Sense of how stiff the front of these cars are to deliver the grip and downforce to the road. Slight undulation unloads the inside front tyre, and then they lock that inside front. Formula 3 champion makes his way through into Formula 2, number 1, adorning the nose of his Invicta. Heading down towards turn 1. This is the half of the lap that we haven't talked you through yet. Need to be so smart on that outside curve. Kamara, though, looks like he's off it at the moment, sitting in P11. A decent opening gambit for him as he gets a feel for Formula 2 machinery and race weekend conditions. Ferrari Junior colours on the top of his helmet, and he'll be looking to gain their attention this year. Stiff competition from Dino Beganovic, who had some great results behind the wheel of this machinery.
It's going to be that battle, isn't it? When you are within an F1 junior team in F2, and you've got other people within that academy on the grid, I'm sure that just motivates you even more. Nicola Solov, Red Bull junior driver out there, the Bulgarian, and he entered the championship at the end of last season, got a podium at Abu Dhabi, after a really good Formula 3 season. This is another entry that has got a lot of people excited. He was best of the rest in F3 last year. He's done 3 seasons now in F3, came into that championship at just 16 years old. He's had a lot of time to learn, hasn't he, some of these circuits, and that will help him.
Became a Red Bull Academy driver last year after a spell with the Alpine Academy, and made an impact in the 4 races he did at the end of last year. Some drivers come in, they're getting a feel for it, they're a little bit anonymous. Not so with Solov. He demonstrated what he could do immediately. Noel Leon's been quick throughout this session. Rookie driver, routinely the top driver who hasn't been behind the wheel at all of a Formula 2 car before this season. Solov's obviously done those races. Gabriele Mini, a returning driver, but Noel Leon's been impressive, sitting in 3rd place, about 3/10 shy of the pace in his Campos, and looks to be fair hustling on as he enters turn 9.
Noel Leon had a disappointing F3 season last year, but that was a disappointing one for the Prema team as a whole. He's had history of being able to come back from bad seasons. When you look through his record, he jumped into the Euroformula Open Championship and won that, and then came into F3 and showed some signs of promise pretty early on. He should be able to come into Campos now and put that season behind him from last year and push on here, fresh start in F2.
That's what you've got to do. You've seen drivers, one of them has just jumped up the order. Alex Dunn, for example, really take off at this level. They get a bit more power underneath their right foot. Paul Aaron was another one as this flurry of laps continues. Return and the answer jumping up to 7th place, and Gabriele Mini finding the top spot by 6/10 of a second. Found a shortcut in the final sector. That was monumental final sector. 2/10 clear of anyone from Gabriele Mini there. Brilliant stuff. But Paul Aaron was another one where they jump in F2 machinery, and something about the power and the different driving style helps them to perform better. It really is a totally different driving style when you move from Formula 3 to Formula 2. Formula 3 cars, you hustle through the middle of the corner. You keep the apex speed up because you haven't got the power to drag you out. In Formula 2 type machinery, with a bit more under the right foot and downforce to play with, you drive the car in deep, you turn it, and you drive it out. So those drivers who have a naturally different mid-corner technique that happens to suit a Formula 2 car can jump in at this level and just take off.
Is it all coming down to technique, or is there drivers that just get more power behind them in a car like this and just enjoy driving them more, and with that gain some confidence as well to take them further up the grid?
There's a certain element of pure confidence that you need for corners like that and moments like that, from Lawrence Van Hoopen there through the mid-corner of 10. But as if to demonstrate what we're talking about, because when you have a lot of downforce, the quicker you enter the corner, the more grip you have. And so some drivers who tend to go in a little bit faster than might be beneficial because they don't get the exit of the corner in Formula 3 machinery might benefit from just banzaiing the entries in Formula 2 and getting that extra downforce and grip to play with. It's all about the nuance of how exactly you naturally drive the car. Then, of course, there are another group, your Oscar Piastris, your Gabriel Bortoletos, who can just do the job in anything and will immediately react and adapt to whatever you put underneath them.
The gap's been brought down to Solov now. Kamara going second quickest. His first time racing Formula 2 this weekend. Dirksen third. Montoya is back for another season. And on that subject line, Alex, he was someone who came out of Formula 3 and in Formula 2 just seemed to improve, find confidence, and beat Gabriele Mini as his teammate. And Mini came away from Formula 3 as the vice champion, so to do that was very impressive.
Came on through last year, Montoya. Yeah. He really hit his stride last year. Returns with Prema once more this season. Got a bit of continuity there. This, though, is the year, isn't it? We say it for several drivers every year. Montoya was just outside the top 10, 12th in the order last year, his finishing position in the championship. So this is the year he needs to be taking home a top 3 finish to mark himself out.
Yeah. it's those drivers that are coming back, isn't it? Alex Dunn being one of them, this driver being another one, Gabriele Mini as well, who will be going out there and just looking to fight for the championship in their second season. Rafa Kamara is fastest on track through the first sector. Let's watch Gabriele Mini through the last corner and up towards the line now and see what he can do on this lap. The MP driver and goes fastest, 129.1. Very quick.
And we'll be pouring over that footage later to find out what Mini's able to do in that final sector, which is bringing about lap after lap of purple sector times. Look really neat and tidy through the outside of turn 14. Kamara's pushing on through the middle of the lap, gets the apex of turn 12 nicely, uses all that curve on the exit as well. His way to the final couple of corners of the lap. It's neat and tidy stuff, isn't it? Getting the car rotated really early in the corner and getting the throttle on. We've got a yellow flag out there, Chris.
Yeah, we have somewhere. We'll see exactly what that is for shortly, I'm sure. But Rafa Kamara, third place, coming in as a 2 times champion now. And it's Tsanopol Intrapubazak, the F3 graduate with ART Grand Prix, who has gone off. And that looks like it's coming in towards turn 12. I think that is. Red flag is out, and that's going to really reduce running for the rest of the session. It's even if we get this one cleared up in time, but Tsanopol Intrapubazak off at turn 12.
Yeah, it looks to be the exit, doesn't it, of turn 12. And then as they go into that final couple of apexes, let's have a look at it. Now arc the car in nicely. Is he just going to get too wide?
You heard it. They go off. Oh, there we go. Intrapubazak off. I wonder if he's clipped the grass going in.
Again, another one really early in the corner, wasn't it?
Looked like he completely lost the car and round it went. So Tsanopol Intrapubazak walks away, and we'll be looking back on that one. His debut season in Formula 2, jumped in for a round at the end of last season, so he does have experience racing in Formula 2, but very little. And excited to be on the grid, excited to be bringing Thailand back to the grid for the first time since 2018 when we had Alex Albon racing with us. What a year that was for Formula 2. Gabriele Mini, quickest though, by 0.4 of a second. Noel Leon in second place, so Gabriele Mini once again going fastest.
It bodes relatively well, doesn't it, for Gabriele Mini? Although that doesn't.
Oh no, the car's he's gone into neutral, hasn't he? And Mini's now rolling down pit lane.
It looked like the engine stopped actually before he selected neutral there. So he's going to try and make it into the pit lane. He should be able to. But he didn't actually look too happy, did he, about losing power on the way in there. So we'll see if the team are able to help out Gabriele Mini. Is he going to, as soon as he's cleared that line, the team can come and get him. But he needs to get it across the pit entry line. Whether the marshals will help him in practice and give him a shove in.
Well, he doesn't have a long walk back from there, but Gabriele Mini couldn't get any closer, could he, to be in the pit lane than that.
There's Ollie Goethe behind him.
It's Gabriele Mini now just giving a wave there, but the marshals are going to go out to get him now.
Yeah. And, tracking back into the pit lane. Remains to be seen whether he'll then be allowed to take further part in the session, if indeed there is further session to take part in once they've recovered his car. Could be considered outside assistance, but as it's not a points paying session, they may let him continue.
Yeah, and there you go. The team are now back down to him, and we'll be talking about that one. Gabriele Mini, fastest in the session, but ends with a pushback, and this is the recovery job going on to Tsanopol Intrapubazak, losing the car into turn 12. So a couple of red flags in this session. Colton Herta, the first one, as he went off at turn 10, and Ichikubazak now the second one.
I'm going to go with your theory there, Chris, that he's touched the grass on the way in. Did seem to lose the car very early on in the corner. Pit exit closed because we're still under red flag.
Yeah, so they're just recovering that one. Well, plenty of fans around getting in to watch F2. In terms of excitement for a season, this has to be one of the biggest we've ever had in Formula 2, and fittingly for our 10th season as well. The amount of hype coming into this has been incredible.
We've got such a strong group of returning drivers mixed with an eclectic and interesting group of drivers coming in, which is going to give us a fascinating battle for the championship, which I think is really going to ebb and flow between those who can, demonstrate their speed and quality, and those who simply have great experience of these cars and circuits. Kamara coming in with that massive result last year in Formula 3, but everything to do once again, as we've seen several Formula 3 champions do with varying levels of success before him. He could be compared to someone like, for example, Oscar Piastri or Gabriel Bortoleto, but also we've seen Victor Martins come in to Formula 2 and struggle much more. So it's going to be so interesting to see how he engages with the challenge of that, given the exceptional level he had behind the wheel of a Formula 3 car.
Yes, you mentioned some drivers come in Formula 3 champions and then just don't quite get that season that they want in Formula 2. It is the highest point on the road to F1, and drivers at this point know a good season for them can change their whole careers around.
Even if you don't end up F1 bound, taking a Formula 2 victory even with you, it sits on your CV for the rest of your career, whether it's whatever other form of motorsport you then do. So some of these drivers will be looking to just take the results from this, even if they're not able to find their way into the highest reaches of Formula 1. Of course, this is the road to F1, that's the goal. But drivers from F2 spray out across the world of motorsport and take those credentials with them.
Yeah, you look through our champions, we've got some racing in Formula 1, some in Formula E, some in IndyCar, and some going off to do the likes of sports cars. So they're spread out, but they're all, whatever they're doing, racing at the very, very top level. It's an incredible list when you look back through it and what they're now currently doing this season.
Gabriele Mini looks like his session is done. Fastest man on track though by a pretty impressive 0.4 of a second there from Non-Leon at the moment. We've got a couple of laps maybe still to do from these drivers who can get across the line. Gabriele Mini finds himself in the pit lane though with what looks like a technical issue at this stage. Won't be too upset with that as long as it doesn't impact his qualifying later on. Impressive from Kamara at this point.
Noah Leon likewise up there in second place, jumping into this category for the first time. So we're going to get one more flying lap from everyone here before the checkered flag goes. Everyone that's out on track, and Dino Beganovic making his way down the start finish line. We're being led by Sebastian Montoya in that red and white frame.
4 DRS zones for them to use, the traditional DRS system. We have only extended to one wing that opens in Formula 2, as Dino Beganovic uses all of the road as he makes his way down towards turn 3.
Bit of a look up there.
Got to be neat and tidy, being pursued by his teammate Belinsky, who we haven't spoken too much about throughout this free practice session so far.
And celebrated his birthday this week, so a happy birthday to Roman Belinsky. And jumped into F3 last season and got on the podium here straight away, and then went on to become the first Polish winner in Formula 3 in the last sprint race of the season. He's done so well coming back from a very bad back injury that he picked up during a Freca season, and Roman Belinsky came back more motivated than ever and pushed on in Formula 3 last year, taking Road into their joint best result in this championship. Now with a great team in Dams Lucas Oil as well in Formula 2. So this is an exciting lineup between Dino and Roman.
Beganovic will be leading the way, but I agree with you. Bielinski's shown great form, particularly behind the wheel of a Formula 3 car. So Dam's always strong. Got the continuity with Beganovic as well as he makes his way across the line. 7th becomes 5th. Still half a second away though from that benchmark from Gabriele Mini. Bielinski improves as well. We've got Martinez Stenshorn now remaining with Rodin, not remaining with the McLaren program, however, but once again trying to put together the season that he wants in Formula 2 this year, sitting 6th and 7th at the moment, 2 Rodin drivers.
Yeah, Dunn and Stenchon, we saw him jump in for the last few rounds last year, came into Baku and was so quick, just was very unfortunate in terms of his results there. But Stenchon showing very good pace as the checkered flag is waving in this practice session. Kushmini gets himself into the top 10 right at the end there. The top 10 is where you want to be. We reverse those positions for the sprint race after qualifying, which takes place later today. And that is where you want to be. 2 points for pole position as well, so points will be scored today.
Not a huge amount of tyre degradation is there through the distance, as evidenced by the tyre compounds which have been chosen. It'll be 23 laps for the sprint race, 33 for the feature, and the track has improved almost as the tyres have fallen away, as is so often the case in free practice. Still sweeping, still cleaning the racetrack up, but it looks like it's going to be a weekend of pushing and mistakes rather than heavily managing the tyres for the Formula 2 drivers. That's what we like to see. It is a tough track to overtake on, but we do see errors throughout the races here. A stat I didn't believe, 100% chance of a safety car in a Formula 2 race in Melbourne, as demonstrated by some of the errors that have been going on out there. Herta found himself in the wall really early on, bringing his Formula 2 career to its beginning with a bit of a bump. He'll be looking to regroup and have a go once more later on, where it'll be a different compound of tyre, of course, as well, onto the super soft. Then Intra Puvazak with that moment in turn 12 also lost a little bit of free practice time, which would have been really helpful for him at this stage in his ART.
Yeah, you can see Kushmini there for ART in the top 10. Gabriele Mini leading the way, 4 tenths clear from the rest of the field. 3rd place, Rafa Kamara. He was definitely one to watch coming into this season, and starting with a very positive practice session there, Peter.
Straight into the top 3. You never, of course, know exactly how much fuel these drivers have on board. All needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. Sometimes you focus on that qualifying lap, taking the most out of the new tyres and run a little bit less. Sometimes you fill the car and look for race performance, run a bit more. But it's always nice to be towards the front. Impressive though from Gabriele Mini.
Just like he was last year here, looking very good in practice. And that is the first session complete. You can see just down the left some of the gaps. After Noel Leon, it is pretty close. 1 second back to Montoya. So other than that gap at the front, the field is pretty congested.
Relatively congested, certainly. It's going to be a day to get your lap in over what is a super fast but not overbearingly complex circuit in terms of its layout. Just each of the corners carries its own unique challenge. Crowd really flooding in now for an opportunity to see the new age of Formula 1 be born in 2026, or maybe they just wanted to see the end of Formula 2 practice. Who knows?
I think Formula 2. Of course, Arvid Lindblad jumping into F1 this year, racing in Formula 2 last season. Couple of red flags in that one. So for those drivers, for Intra Puvazak, for Herta, how are they going to, what will be the process for them now to come back from that in qualifying?
Your teammates' data becomes incredibly valuable to give you a sense of where you left the racetrack and where the racetrack was at the end of that session, and then cast your mind forward to what comes next. And then you just got to close your eyes and believe that you can do it. Maybe build up a little bit more on that first set of 2 super soft tyres in qualifying and go for it on the second set. But let's see how they lined up after practice, Chris.
First practice session
of the year, Gabriel Mini and Noli on your top two, Rafael Kamara and Nicholas Solov, Dino Beganovic and Alex Dunn, followed by Martinez Stanshaw and Vitomo Miata. Joshua Dirksen and Kush Maini, the Indian driver, sits position 10 on the grid, just under a second off the pace, the ART team. Roman Belinsky and Intrapazuviak in position 12, Mari Boya, Nico Verano, Olivia Goethe, Emerson Fittipaldi, Rafael Villagomez, Sebastian Montoya, John Bennett, and Lawrence Van Hoopen in position 20. Outside your top 20, it's Chian Shields and Colton Herta, who ended up in the barrier at, well, about 20 minutes into free practice. That is it for free practice for Formula 2. We'll be back for Formula 1 a little bit later on from 8 o'clock tonight for free practice 2. Should be very exciting. And I'll catch you guys then. Until then, it's bye-bye.
Season in Formula 2. What a season we have ahead. Make sure you join us when we set the grids at 2:55. We'll see you then.